Breaking right now, Piers Morgan, a close personal friend of Queen Camilla, has just revealed that no members of the royal family, including King Charles, will speak to Prince Harry or Meghan Markle at all. All contact has been cut. According to Piers, a royal insider who you'll also remember hangs out quite a bit with Beatrice and Eugenie, the princess daughters of Andrew. I want to take you through exactly what Piers told the US broadcaster, good friend of mine, Meghan Kelly, because he's also branded Meghan Markle a nasty little bully. You won't get any disagreement from me there. We're going to get analysis from the editor of the Royal News Network, Brittany, in just a moment. But Brittany, first, we've got to watch along together because this is a bombshell after bombshell interview from Piers to Meghan.
On their website, it says that they're all about compassion. They're compassionate people. They're also all about mental health and helping people with mental health. They've been very vocal about that recently, about the perils of online trolling and the effect it has on people's mental health. And yet here we are with Vanity Fair, the Hollywood Bible, the thing that Meghan was most thrilled about getting the cover of a few years ago when she got engaged to Harry, which went down very badly with the palace at the time, I can tell you. But now it reveals that actually she in particular is a nasty little bully who sends staff into therapy. Think about that for a moment. This also follows all the stories about her bullying staff over here in the UK,
Many broken by
which
me.
is unresolved. NDAs stopped all that stuff coming out, but she bullied people in a very unpleasant way over here. So it's no surprise to people who work at Buckingham Palace. They saw and witnessed all this here. So I just showed, look, they're a pair of hypocrites, they're a pair of chancers, as the Spotify guy called them, a pair of effing grifters. And they're desperately trying to maintain some kind of future as a renegade royal couple when they're no longer part of the royal family. The royals don't talk to them. The king does not talk to his own son. None of the senior royals talk to these two. They are total pariahs in the family because the only currency they have is trashing the royal family and the monarchy. And every time they try and do something else, nobody cares. No one cared about their podcast series. Nobody cared about the polo series recently. Nobody cares about any of it. All they want to hear is the dirt. And these two, for 5 years, have reveled and wallowed in royal dirt for vast amounts of money. And that's what makes Prince Harry's ongoing campaign against the UK newspapers, which had another flare-up this week, so laughably hypocritical.
What's your opinion about this incident? Share in comments.
Brittany, well, lots to pick up on there. I totally agree with Piers's analysis on the Meghan Kelly show. But the most critical thing, the most newsworthy thing for us to discuss is the fact that no senior member of the royal family will even speak to Harry or Meghan now. Now, of course, we knew that William had cut contact and we knew that Charles would try and avoid phone conversations with Harry as much as possible. Angela Levin and Lady Colin Campbell had revealed that right here on Outspoken. However, remember, Piers is a royal insider, close friends with Queen Camilla, close friends with the princesses Beatrice and Eugenie, regularly socializes with both. And he says both Harry and Meghan, now pariahs within the royal family, completely ignored. Maybe not a surprise, but very fascinating to hear.
It really is, Dan, because they used to all be so close in many ways, especially Harry with Beatrice and Eugenie. They were really had seems like a good friendship at one point, but no one is surprised by this because as time has gone on, as Mexit has gotten further away, they've had these mega deals, but the only thing that actually sells is their connection to the royals. So if you cut that off, Harry and Meghan really have to prove themselves on their own merits. And as it turns out, they can't do it. They don't have either the talent, the creativity, or whatever to come to bear in this situation and actually create decent content. And so if the royal family stars them of the only thing that's going to make them money, then I don't know what they're going to do because trying to be royals here in the United States is not going over very well. So we don't want them to be royals here. They can live here, but they can't be royalty here. And Harry and Meghan don't seem to quite get that yet, although it might be sinking in with the new administration. But this has been just an absolutely epic disaster for Harry and Meghan. And you got to think, especially Harry, he's lost his relationship with his entire family basically at this point. So, but it's all of his own doing. So he has nobody to blame in this situation but himself, and I would argue probably his wife as well.
Of course, but how disgusting that at a time when he should be there for his dad, right? His dad is suffering from very serious cancer, Brittany. Again, all he does is create strife, to the fact that actually Camilla says to Charles, no, just have nothing to do with him because it's not going to be good for your health.
Yeah, I mean, that is really the healthiest approach for him at this point. Harry
Yep.
has had multiple opportunities, I think, to try and make inroads to recognize the failure of his ways. But what I came across, I think it was in the Vanity Fair piece, although it might have been maybe a Daily Beast piece that kind of followed that, was talking about how Harry still doesn't really get it. He doesn't understand the damage that Spare did to his relationship with his family, that Netflix did, that Mexic did, that Oprah did to his family. He still doesn't quite get it. And because of that, he can't even recognize his own faults in the situation. And of course, that has been Harry and Meghan's entire brand, is to blame everybody else when trouble follows them and not recognizing that usually about 9/10 of the time, they are the cause of their own problems and issues. It all comes back to them. And I think it's horrific given Charles's cancer, obviously Catherine going through her whole cancer treatments as well, that they really could have used Harry. They really could have used Harry in that moment. And he, of course, chose selfishness and greed, I would argue, over duty and family.
Shame on him. Absolutely shame on him, because that is the
Agreed.
moment that you need to be there for your family. Now, look, the truth bombs being spat by Piers Morgan and Meghan Kelly were not over there, though, because, of course, they had to deal with the whole issue of the Netflix TV series With Love, Meghan.
Piers Morgan has just dropped what he calls a royal bombshell. According to him, King Charles has completely cut off communication with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. No phone calls, no emails, no quiet back and forth through royal aides, absolutely nothing. In Piers' own words, the relationship is shattered. So what exactly does that mean? Why is it all unfolding now? And could this really be the breaking point for the royal family? Let's dig deeper.
Piers Morgan drops a royal bombshell. King Charles has reportedly cut off all contact with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. No calls, no emails, nothing. The royal relationship is completely shattered.
On his show, Piers Morgan stated that King Charles has no intention of speaking with either Harry or Meghan, neither in public nor in private. In his view, the bond between them has been torn apart. Now, it's no secret that Piers Morgan and Meghan Markle share one of the most infamous feuds in modern media. But setting that aside for a moment, this claim doesn't feel like an empty rant. It carries the weight of something more deliberate. Possibly even a controlled leak from inside the palace walls. And when we look at recent events, the signs are there. Harry flew back for his father's coronation, but only for a single day, attending alone with Meghan absent from the celebrations entirely. Her absence spoke volumes, and his brief stay only added to the growing speculation. All of this raises the question, has the silence now become permanent? And if so, what does that mean for the monarchy's future? What's your opinion about this incident? Share in comments. Let's drive into next.
And now what's happened, I mean, what's most laughable of all, in a sort of horrible way, is that she's got this new series where she's trying to be the new Martha Stewart, where she's going to be cooking in her fancy mansion for all her fancy friends, very fancy food. Can you imagine a less appropriate thing in California right now than this fake princess, this Duchess trading off the title she got given by an institution she's tried to ruin, actually prancing about in this kitchen in a multi-million-dollar mansion with her famous friends in California, when 12 to 14,000 people have just lost their homes in the most horrendous fires that the city's ever had in Los Angeles and that the state's ever seen. It is so unbelievably inappropriate that that series could go ahead, but I bet it does.
Yeah, they're saying it's actually going to pick up in March now, as opposed to the January launch date.
I mean, with Love, Meghan, because even since the announcement was made, my goodness, it has completely changed the whole environment.
Oh yeah, and I mean the whole downhill spiral just in this month, Dan, has been insane to witness. I don't think I've ever seen two people crash and burn so hard as Harry and Meghan in just the span of less than 31 days. But I think this whole series is going to fail, not just because of obviously the premise and it being post the fires, because you can't really predict a natural disaster like that. But I think the true problem Meghan has always had is that she's not authentic. And really, in this modern environment, authenticity is what sells. And I think her prancing around in this multi-million dollar kitchen and this multi-million dollar house and everything, and claiming to show people that it doesn't have to be about perfection or whatever, I just don't think anybody's going to buy it because she always seems, at least to me, I've always read her as very contrived, very much wanting to portray what she thinks is perfect in that particular moment. Usually her instincts are wrong in that scenario, but I think that's going to be a huge challenge for this series. Not only dealing with the fires and so many people out of their homes, but I think the indulgence of wealth that I feel like will come through this, the pretentiousness and all these things. I think everybody's just going to take two looks at this show and go, no, but what are they going to do? They desperately need content in order to still get some of that pot they have from Netflix for whatever they're going to produce. But they get it wrong every single time. And so it's just going to be another epic train wreck for the two of them. And yeah, I mean, again, they only have themselves to blame here. There's a million different directions they could have taken this, but I think she chose probably the worst route possible.
But not according to Meghan, Brittany, because according to Meghan,
Never
we're meant to
Meghan.
feel sorry for her. Great reporting from
course.
Radar Online revealing that she's gone into hermit mode as a result of the way that she's been slammed. And a source close to Meghan says, in pursuing that goal, she's found herself at the receiving end of harsh treatment. Harry has reassured her of his pride in her actions and advised her to take a step back and not let it get to her. Still, it weighs on them. Rather than retreating from the situation, they opted to journey 2 hours into the heart of the fire zone to volunteer at the World Central Kitchen. Brittany, do they not understand? That was the problem. No one wanted you there. And in fact, it was an emergency situation. So the fact that you traveled for 2 hours into a fire zone, like, that's the issue. That's not the defense. That's the problem. But then this source also went on to say, and Brittany, this is what got me just mad, I guess. This response, talking about Meghan, is exactly what you would anticipate from someone who carries Princess Diana's legacy. Oh, no, she doesn't. William and Catherine carry Diana's legacy, not Harry and Meghan.
Well, I think too, the over reliance on, contributing or pursuing or whatever Diana's legacy, I think that's a great mistake on their part because I think Catherine and William are carrying on her legacy by really forging their own path. They're not trying to mimic her. I feel like if you're trying to mimic someone,
So true.
that always never goes well because it's inauthentic. That it goes back to that thing where she can't be authentic. And at least for me, like actually grew up in Southern California, so I'm familiar with what happens with wildfires and everything. And just the idea that in the middle, when these fires are still going on, that the mayor of a city took city officials away from their duties to parade them through somebody's home that got burned down, as I think it was maybe Justine Bateman that pointed out, is like there might actually be human remains there.
Exactly.
Are you sure you've
We're not over
evaluated
that.
this?
We're not over
It's
that.
crazy. And so it was just so tone deaf, so ridiculous. And I mean, I blame the city officials too for indulging them to that extent. They are not royalty here. They're just simply royals who live here. That there's a huge difference there. And you see it compared to Donald Trump going and surveying these scenes because he can actually go, well, I can minimize or eliminate this federal barrier to you rebuilding quickly. I can do this immediately because I'm president. What can the two of them do? Seriously, what can the two
Just
of them
annoy people.
do?
Just
Nothing.
annoy
They
people,
just annoy people.
and distract the authorities and the first responders.
Exactly, from
Now, look,
doing real jobs.
You speak about tone, Brittany. I was very fascinated. I think it was Princess Carparkle on X that I first saw had posted this, but someone has done and I'm sorry I can't give credit to
When
whoever
King Charles
put this
received his cancer
together, but someone has
diagnosis
done a
earlier
really
this
deep
year,
dive
Prince Harry made a quick
into
trip to
Meghan
London.
Markle's
Their meeting, just 30
changing
minutes.
voice.
No photos
And it
released,
really
no
is
official acknowledgement from the palace,
and worth
and
taking
to
a
add
watch
insult to
of.
injury,
And
no birthday
then
greetings
let's
for
analyze
Harry
on.
posted by the royal household this year. That's not just distance, that's icy. We're not talking about strained communication here. This feels more like deliberate silence, almost like high society ghosting. So the big question is, why would a father cut off his own son? 3 words: Oprah, Spare, Netflix. Through those platforms, Harry and Meghan aired some of the royal family's most closely guarded secrets on the world stage. Allegations of racism, neglect, manipulation. It was all laid bare. And in his memoir, Spare, Harry didn't hold back, criticizing William, Camilla, and even King Charles himself. From Charles's point of view, this wasn't a private family dispute anymore. It was betrayal played out for millions to see, and for a man who spent his life safeguarding the crown above all else, that crosses a line that may never...
Piers Morgan drops a royal bombshell. King Charles has reportedly cut off all contact with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. No calls, no emails, nothing. The royal relationship is completely shattered.